My opponent argues that if same-sex marriage is legalized, then society will harbor deeper feelings of resentment against queers, but this doesn't make any sense. For whatever reason, the issue of same-sex marriage, which is an issue of civil rights, is put up to a popular vote. As absurd as this is, if it becomes legal in a state, then it is because of popular opinion. Society will not harbor resentment against those queers because a majority of members of that state allowed them to get married. Ultimately, the question is what makes more sense to be at the forefront of this movement. There is no reason why queers cannot put same-sex marriage at the front, but use momentum from this and fund some of the measures that my opponent argues, just not in as high of a capacity. It is essential that the queer rights movement see the same-sex marriage debate all the way through until all 50 states allow queer couples to marry in the same capacity as non-queer ones. My opponent argues that youth will not be affected by same-sex marriage legalization, but that is simply not true. First, marriage will help queer couples adopt, and this will get kids out of the possession of the state and into the arms of loving parents. Marriage will also help legitimize queer identities among youth and give them hope. Dan Savage is right when he tells youth that it gets better. In terms of trans people, my opponent argues that the Matthew Shepard Hate Crimes Act does not protect trans people with different gender preferences. She's correct that the act says nothing about gender preferences, but it does protect gender identities, which is the wording that protects trans individuals. And, as I have outlined already, trans people are protected under same-sex marriage. I am not arguing that same-sex marriage will make bullying, discrimination, or social stigmas go away. In fact, none of these issues can. They must work with each other. However, same-sex marriage needs to stay at the front of the movement for the sake of congruity. So back to the question, should same-sex marriage be at the forefront of the queer rights movement? And the answer is yes. Not only does it help all sexual and gender minorities, it also affects youth in a positive way and gives married couples the over 1,000 rights associated with that legally binding relationship. While we can slowly transition the public's focus away from same-sex marriage and onto an issue like the ENDA at a later day, it does not make sense to end this momentum now.